Alright, so Jake Paul is probably, well, arguably one of the most hated people on the entire internet. But the question is, why? Like, what has he done that's made people hate him so much? Well, let's be real, Jake has never really helped himself in getting people to like him. Like, even from the very start of his YouTube career, his first vlogs were just unbelievably cringeworthy. You know, they were just so loud and annoying, but, you know, despite that, you know, they were incredibly successful because kids just couldn't get enough of his content. Jake's content may have been unbearable to basically everybody over the age of 12, but just his content alone being almost unwatchable isn't the reason why people don't like him. Okay, so people that are old enough to think about things more deeply rather than just what they're seeing, they started to notice that this guy who's making these really cringy, kid-friendly videos he's a bit of a horrible person.
I'm fine. Are you good?
Like, he was abusive to people in Team 10, his own team. Well, actually, when you think about it, he was pretty much the same with everybody. He treated everybody like dirt.
Thank you guys so much for watching the Married Hit Show. I'll see you next week. And let's do it back.
My brother.
The thing is he was treating everybody so badly, but the worst part about all of it was even though everyone knew that he was treating everybody like absolute shit, it didn't matter what anybody was saying about Jake. The more destructive he was being, the more views, the bigger payday. He was essentially being rewarded for being a bad person in a way. Jake was basically in a position where he was being paid millions of dollars for just being the biggest douche in the world. And everyone else who wasn't a Jake Pauler was just looking at him from a distance saying, please, can you just go away? But, you know, despite that, he's never cared what anyone has ever thought about him. As long as the money just keeps rolling in, he doesn't care what people say about him. He's just going to keep doing what he wants. But, you know, maybe nowadays you can make the argument and say that, hey, he has kind of done a huge U-turn. He's gone from making terrible, cringy, kid-friendly videos to then going into a man's sport of doing boxing. But despite Jake making that change, going from cringy stuff to something that's actually quite respectable, the thing is the damage is already done. Jake's reputation is basically tarnished forever. But here's the thing that people seem to be forgetting. If Jake went on a journey, you know, trying to prove to everybody that, look, that was the old me, you know, I'm not like that anymore. I'm not this destructive, annoying, obnoxious, arrogant kid. People wouldn't buy it. Literally, no matter what Jake would do, the damage is irreversible. He is basically seen as that Jake Paul for the rest of his life. He's never going to be seen different. Logan, however, he was different. He was able to do that because he basically, you know, he had one mess up, and that was the whole Japan thing. The only reason why Logan could bounce back and prove to people that he's changed and he's not like his old self is because he only made that one mistake. However, Jake was making mistakes just all the time. And the thing is with Jake is Jake found out that even if he got people to hate him, the formula was working. He was still getting rewarded for it. Basically, in a nutshell, there is literally no way that Jake can convince people not to dislike him at this point. He's basically too far gone. The thing is with Jake is he is aware of what's going on. Like, he's not blind to it. Like, he knows that people don't like him. He knows that everyone thinks that he's a douche. So when it comes to his boxing, he's basically just playing up to it at this point. To the point where he calls himself the problem child. Like, he's basically memed himself being hated so much. So I've been asked before, why don't I talk about Jake Paul's ego? And it's mainly to do with the boxing. And the main reason why I don't talk about Jake's ego with the boxing is simply because of a quote that I heard from Mike Tyson. Now, I'm saying this very loosely. I can't remember the exact words, and I heard it a long, long time ago. But Mike Tyson basically said that fighters need to think that they are the best in the world. They need to have that ego, because if they don't, the moment they step in that ring, they've already lost. They've already admitted defeat. They need to think that they are the best. So Jake's ego in boxing, although it is incredibly annoying, you know, it is understandable, and that's why I don't talk about it. It's the same as Conor McGregor. If you don't like Conor McGregor, you'll find his ego really annoying. But if you find him funny, you'll think his ego's funny, if that makes sense. The reason why Jake has an ego in boxing is essentially because he needs it. But because everybody despises him, it's like 10 times worse than what it actually is. So here's the thing with the boxing. nearly everybody in the boxing scene despises Jake because apparently he's ruining boxing. Now, the only reason why you could say that he's ruining boxing is because if you know what boxing fans are like, there's like this thing where it's only hardcore boxing fans allowed, and no, you can't have any casual fans. And Jake has literally come along and said, nah, fuck that. I'm bringing everybody in and everybody's going to get involved in boxing. So literally boxing fans are now there like, you've just brought along an entire fan base of people we don't want here. We only want hardcores who know about boxing. Because, you know, like, I agree with that. Like, it is cringy where you've got a bunch of people who know nothing about boxing and then they're commenting and like trying to argue with people that do know boxing. I do kind of agree with that. But essentially, that's why a bunch of boxing fans are saying that he is ruining the sport of boxing, because it's like taking away that exclusivity of it, like that exclusive club that people feel like they have when they're boxing fans. But here's the underlying thing. Everybody hates Jake Paul. But you have to remember that this is all deliberate. Jake's pay-per-view buys on his fights are extremely good because everybody despises him. There are so many people that want to see him fail. There are so many people that want to see Jake's next opponent be the guy to knock him out. And that is essentially why people keep paying for these fights, because people don't like him and they want to see him fail. Jake is there deliberately annoying people. He's twisting people's buttons. He's doing this just to wind you up. Because at the end of the day, you hating him is giving him success. If Jake Paul wasn't as hated as he is, he wouldn't have people like Canelo Alvarez talking about him. He wouldn't have people like Mike Tyson or Floyd Mayweather all talking about him. Like, if Jake probably wasn't as hated as he was, Logan probably would not have even fought Floyd Mayweather. It's literally it's just honestly, it's a constant cycle. He does things that annoy people deliberately. He acts reckless because no matter what, if people hate him, it's going to help him out because at the end of the day, when people are hating him, it's keeping him relevant. And it gets underneath your skin when you've got someone that you don't like, and no matter what you say about them, they're just succeeding. That is why people despise him, and he's just there laughing at people. The thing is with Jake is he's done so many things over the years which completely warrants why people dislike him. You know, when he was abusive to them twins, or when he was joining in with the riots, or, you know, having COVID parties. Like, there's so many reasons why you don't like Jake, and I'm on the same level as you. I agree with you. But at the end of the day, no matter what you say, no matter how much you may dislike him, it's keeping him relevant and it's giving him what he wants, and that is what makes it worse, because it gets under your skin. It's so annoying. At the end of the day, if you want Jake to disappear, if you want him to fail, you need to kind of try to forget about him and stop hating on him, because like I said, the more people hate on him, the more he stays relevant. So there you go. The reason why Jake Paul's hated is because, yes, his past was absolutely horrendous, and I completely understand why everybody despises him. But nowadays, you know, you've got to remember, don't fall in the trap. It is deliberate, and everything he's doing is deliberately trying to get you to hate him, because it's basically giving him a career. And that's pretty much all it is. Alright, so there you go. Those are my thoughts on why people don't like Jake Paul. And, well, that's kind of the reality of what's going on here. Just want to say, if you agree with me, give this video a thumbs up, and of course, if you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button. Again, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.